I'll start off with a little bit of background about me. My name is Danielle. I'm a second year at UVA, the University of Virginia. Pretty much love it here. And prior to college, in high school, I was blessed enough to earn over $100,000 in scholarship money. So I'm here for free, and it's great. I don't have to worry about paying for books. I really don't have to worry about paying for housing, tuition, none of that. I'm just here focused solely on my education. So that's great, and it's a great feeling to, be able to go to school for free. So I'm just here to give you some tips on how I go to school for free. So what did I do as far as scholarships applications? So here's my first tip, because I want to keep this video nice and short. So here's my first tip. First tip is you cannot be lazy. You can't be lazy. You have to go ahead and apply for those scholarships. So many people I know didn't apply for different scholarships because, it wants me to write 10 essays. If it's going to give you a great amount of money, do it. It is so worth it. It's so worth it. I meet so many people who regret not applying for different scholarships and when they're paying out of pocket to go to school. And I really think you should just go ahead and do it. It's not hard at all. It's very easy, actually. You just have to be willing to put in the work. So that's my first tip. Do not be lazy. Be willing to put in the work. Tip number 2 is basically a disclaimer for people who aren't as confident in their ability to get a scholarship because maybe they don't have the highest GPA or the highest SAT score or ACT score. You do not need to have the highest GPA or the highest SAT score to get a great scholarship. You do not need it. I was personally blessed and very grateful and honored that God allowed me to, earn a high GPA, earn, high SAT scores. But it was not my SAT scores or my GPA that allowed me to get my scholarships. I spoke to so many different scholarship committees after they reviewed my application, and they told me that it was not my GPA or my SAT score that drew them towards me. It was my story and my passion and what I displayed throughout my essays that made them actually want to invest in me and invest in my future and support what I believe in. And so I would just recommend that you tell your story in your essay. For me personally, in high school I went through a lot throughout my 4 years. My parents ended up divorcing, and it really just took a toll on me. I went through a lot, mentally, financially. We struggled, but we got through it. And so I used those struggles that I went through, and I wrote about them. And I wrote about in my essays how I didn't allow my negatives to determine my future, and I didn't allow my negatives to serve as an excuse for why I can't, become who I want to become. Hold on, I think that's better. And so I wrote about how I turned my negatives into my positives, and every essay I would start off with what I've been through, why I'm applying for the scholarship, and not only how the scholarship will benefit me, but how I will benefit the scholarship committee and how I will go back and benefit those who were in need or are in need, just as the scholarship committee would benefit me with a scholarship. So basically I just told my story, why I applied, and how I would go back into the community and invest in the community once I'm financially set or well off. So I just talked about my dreams and my goals, stuff like that. And now you might say, oh, that's only 500 words. Like, how can I do that? You can do it. You don't have to tell every single detail about your story, but just get your point across. Let them know that, hey, I struggled, but I still persevered in the face of adversity. I did what I had to do, and I didn't allow my circumstances to serve as an excuse. Instead, I kept on pushing forward. So, say for instance, if you don't have a story, maybe you haven't been through anything. I literally had to, sometimes you have a story and you just suppress it, or you don't know that you have one. And so you really sometimes have to get into a quiet place and just think and just let it all out. I know for me, sometimes I even broke down crying writing my essays, but I knew I had to be vulnerable and open with my essays because I knew my story. Somebody would love to hear it. Somebody would invest in me after they heard my story. So say for instance, if you feel like you don't really have a story, even if that after you go into that quiet place and you write down everything and you still feel like you don't have anything, write about your passion. So maybe your parents haven't divorced. You know, maybe you haven't grown up without your mother or your father. Or maybe you haven't been through anything like that. And I pray you haven't, because, you know, these are tough things to go through. But maybe you have a passion for helping people. Maybe you really care about animals, or you care about, you know, homeless people or something like that. So you can write your essay about how you want to later on help people, you know, and the scholarship will help you achieve your goals, and your success will allow you to maybe not necessarily end poverty, but help to diminish it, or, you know, limit poverty. And just be you. Don't be anybody else. Don't try to tell them, you know, what you think they want to hear. Just be yourself. They want your authentic self. So tip number 3 is you should always have a planner with all the dates of your scholarships with it in it. So this is my planner right now in college. I don't have my planner with me from high school because I am at college right now. But the same way that I would write down if I had an exam or something is the same way I would write down scholarships. Cute, you guys need to see it. My pillow says the snuggle is real. The snuggle is real. It's so cute. Like I said, I would have on the actual, you know, monthly calendar, I would write it down. And then on the actual day, I would have it written down as well in case I forget. I probably didn't mention it yet, but I forget everything. That's why I have a list right here thanks to my tips, because I forget. So it's okay. You don't have to remember everything. You're going to forget some things. I forget. So you need a planner. Aside from a planner, you need a cute little folder. It doesn't have to be as cute as this, but you need a folder like this. And what did I use this folder for? What did I use this folder for? What did I put in here? So at the beginning of the school year, my senior year, classes started for us, I think, the day after Labor Day in high school. So probably like 2 weeks before Labor Day, I wrote probably like 3 generic essays. And the essays were just random questions, like, not really random. They were more so generic. Like, why do you want to apply for this, for the scholarship? What will the scholarship do for you? What are your goals? What are your dreams? How will the scholarship help you achieve your goals, dreams? I'm just throwing out some random general questions out there. But pretty much all scholarships fall within those lines, or those standard questions. So I wrote 3 essays. Each essay was slightly different, but they all related back to my story and my passion and my purpose in life. And luckily for me, I knew what my passion and my purpose was in life, so I related that all back together. And if you don't, it's okay. You don't have to know. You can still write about your story or your passion. And you don't necessarily have to know your exact purpose, but you can know that you want to help others and aid others and make a difference. That's the word. That's the phrase I'm looking for. Make a difference. You know, you want to make a difference in some way, shape, or form. So you can just write about that. So I have 3 different essays. And in this folder, I would just have like 10 or 12 different copies of each essay. So, and I also had like 10 different copies of my resume with me as well in this folder. And I also had 3 or 4 different teachers to write recommendation letters for me. And I would have copies of their recommendation letters with me as well. And so you might say, like, why should I carry around that folder with me? Well, it's a reason. So you forget your materials at home or your essays at home, and it's a scholarship due that day. You don't have to run home or say you can't apply. You just look in this cute old folder and you get out your generic essays, your recommendation letter, and your resume, and you're good. Oh, and in that folder you also need your unofficial or your official transcript, because a lot of people want to have your transcript. It's not like they're going to examine it from A to Z, but they want to see your transcript. If you don't have the highest GPA, still be confident. Put that transcript in there and keep it moving. Okay, you don't have to have the highest GPA. It's just because some people are very intelligent and they're not great test takers. And my tip number 5 would be, if you qualify, you need to apply. If you different scholarships like that have different qualifications. Like, you need to have a minimum GPA. Some scholarships need you to be in a certain form of financial need. Some scholarships want you to be a certain race, certain gender, go into a certain field. If you qualify, you should apply. Many different people may not apply for scholarships because they're like this says a math major, and I'm leaning to more towards science, but I'm not sure. I kind of like math too, you know. Apply for that scholarship. Do you know how many people, I'm in college now, do you know how many people actually change their major once they get here? It's people in their third year that still hasn't even declared their major. Like, you need to apply. People change their major so many different times. It's so many people that's in the engineering school here that transfer out. It's so many people who are in the college and transfer into the engineering school. So it's okay. The scholarship committee want you to have an idea of what you want to do, but they know that that idea is not set in stone. You can change your mind, and it's okay. Once you change your mind, they're not going to revoke your scholarship. It's okay. Keep on going. Apply for that scholarship. If you are undecided but you thinking between math and science, apply for the math scholarship. Apply for the science one too. Do it. If you know you want to be a lawyer, do not apply for a scholarship that has something to do with the medical field, unless you're interested in that type of law. Again, don't be lazy. I know there were so many different times where I got scholarships and they were like, you know what, we wish more people would have applied. You know, we definitely would have given you the scholarship still if more people applied, but it's a shame when you have 4 different scholarships and only 3 people apply. You have money left over. So we really wish that more people would have applied. So spread the word, stuff like that. So sometimes you just might be the only one applying. So you might be like, oh no, like John has a better GPA than me. John has better SAT scores than me. John is probably applying. Don't worry about John. Worry about yourself and apply for that scholarship, because you may be the only person applying. And that's more money for you. Apply for that scholarship. Okay, so say for instance, if you apply for 100 scholarships and you haven't gotten any yet, do not stop applying. Don't give up. Keep applying. Don't give up. I started applying for scholarships back in September. I applied for big ones, little ones, medium ones. When I say big, I mean like full ride scholarships. When I say small ones, I mean like 500 to 1,000. When I say medium, couple thousand. I applied for scholarships starting in the beginning of September. And I did not receive one scholarship award until April 8th. That was the first time I received a scholarship. And I had applied for more than 70 or 80 scholarships, and I didn't receive them. And I had a great GPA. I had great SAT scores. I had a lot of different credentials. This is not to discourage you, to say like it's so competitive that you shouldn't do it. This is to say that don't give up. I didn't give up, and now because I didn't give up, I go to school for free. Another thing is, it's never too late to apply for scholarships. Yes, if the deadline is the 15th and it's the 16th, it's a little too late. But if the deadline is the 15th and it's the 15th, apply for that scholarship. I just so happen to be a Gates Millennium Scholar. If you don't know what that is, basically they pay for your undergraduate, graduate degree, and your PhD. Just remember on the 15th, opening the application at 12:35 p.m. and the application was due at 5 p.m. And with the Gates Scholarship, you have, I think, 9 different essays, teacher recommendations. You also have activities, extracurricular, awards, honors, all of that stuff to put in. And you can't just submit a letter from a teacher. You actually have to go in and get your teacher to sign in and write her own letter in there. And I remember just looking at it at 12:35 saying, there's no way possible I can write 9 essays and go to my teachers, get their recommendations, and still have a presentable application. Like, there's no way. But you can do it. You can do it. I did it. I did not think about how much time I didn't have. I thought about the time I did have. So a lot of people may look at me and say, oh, Danny, you're a Gates Scholar. Like, you just got that scholarship because your family was in need. And how am I supposed to apply for scholarships? Like, yeah, I know my mom and dad are financially set, but they don't want to pay for me to go to college. So how do I find scholarships for me when my family is not considered need-based? That's perfectly fine. You can look for scholarship. There are scholarships out there that do not have financial requirements. There are plenty of scholarships out there that do not have financial requirements. Gates was actually the one and only scholarship that I received that did not have a financial requirement, and I received at least, I think, like 30. It was between 25 and 30,000 additional dollars in scholarship funds besides my Gates scholarship. So that means that there's 25 to 30,000 additional that does not have anything to do with Gates, with financial need. Just because you feel like all the scholarships are only for people in need, there are scholarships out there for you. There are plenty of scholarships out there for you. Just look. Say you only get enough scholarships funds for 1 year. So say for instance you get like, well, I don't know, $25,000 to $30,000 dollars in scholarships for your first year. That is okay. Be happy that you have 1 year paid off. You have time to look for scholarships for the following year. Once you get in college, you know, most people aren't really looking for scholarships. They look to be an RA, which will cover their housing, rooming, and board. But they don't necessarily look for actual scholarships. I think that you should continue to look for scholarships, especially when you're not on a 4-year scholarship, you're on a yearly scholarship, then you should look for scholarships. And again, because so many people aren't applying, you might be the only one person that applies and you will get that scholarship. You should apply. So don't be discouraged that you don't get a 4-year scholarship. It is okay. My last tip, I get this question a lot as well. Where do I look for scholarships at? Where do I find them? There's many different ways you can find scholarships. I know that here as a Gates Scholar, there are many different Gates Scholars or other Gates Scholars here as well. And they're not just Gates Scholars. They're like Quest Bridge Scholars. They're Dale Scholars. You know, they are scholars. They have scholarships from many different people and back. So back at my high school, they had like a bulletin board. It was a huge one. This is not, I guess, representative of that bulletin board. But basically on the bulletin board, they had like a ton of scholarships. And so every day I would check it. And I would write it down in my planner as I would go by. I would write it down in my planner. Like, apply for this, apply for this, apply for this. And I would, again, have this folder on me. Now, say for instance, you say, oh, my school doesn't have a bulletin board with scholarships on it. That's okay. Normally your school generally, or your city generally has a website with scholarships up there. You just have to know where it is. So literally you can search like, so if you go to public school, you can search your city public schools scholarships. It should be a link that pops up and it'll have like all different scholarships that are that your city knows about. You can apply for all of those if you qualify. You can apply for all of those. I would apply for all of the ones I qualified for. Me, I didn't limit myself to my city. So I live in an area where there's many different cities, like a big metropolitan area. And I would look in every different city's website to figure out scholarships. So I wasn't just looking at my city. I was looking at the bordering cities, the cities that were further away. And I was applying for those scholarships. I was not just staying in my one city. And I believe that's something that everyone should do. Look online. And those were just for local scholarships. So these are the ones that are between $500 to like $4,000 or $5,000. So I applied for a lot of those. For a long time I didn't get any, but eventually I received a lot. And I believe that you guys should. Don't just say, oh, that's a small scholarship. Don't be lazy. Apply for the small ones. They add up. They really do add up. And as far as the big ones, I would look for them and really apply and do your best, but don't rely on them. One thing about me, I didn't rely on Gates. I was not sure if I was going to get Gates. I prayed over it. I prayed every day, but I applied the day of. And I was, you know, a little skeptical about my ability to get the scholarship, being that I had not put my complete best foot forward. But there's other scholarships, like you just have to look for them. There's Wendy's, there's Quest Bridge, there's different ones for your location. I know one of my friends, she goes here and she's from Texas, and they have this thing called Posse, and Posse pays for your tuition, but they don't pay for room and board, which is fine. You can come here and you can become an RA and get your room and board paid for by RA, and then boom, you're on the full ride. This is just about taking it step by step and just looking for different things in your area. There are people There are scholarships for, you know, living in a certain area. There are scholarships for being a first generation, you know, college student. Like, just look. That's all I can say. I didn't pretty much really rely on scholarships.com. I didn't rely on sites like that. Not to say that they're not credible, because they may fair well have scholarships up there, but I just tended to what I knew. So I focused on what was around me, my local scholarships, and I let those pile up. And then I focused on my big one, Gates. I also applied for other big ones and I didn't get them, and that's okay. You know, don't be mad when you don't get certain scholarships, because it will all work out for you good. I really believe that. I hope that this video was helpful. If you need any more videos, you want me to make something about organization, about resumes, about college, being a black student at UVA, anything like that, just write a comment, subscribe, do whatever you gotta do, but just please apply for scholarships. I really want you to go to school for free. I don't want finances to stop you from getting a great education. So yeah, hopefully this was helpful, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to help you throughout your process of applying for scholarships. I know that it's January, and I know back in January I was really applying for scholarships, so hopefully this video was helpful. Thank you.